Welcome to another action-packed episode of Bill K the CPA. I'm Bill K, the CPA, and this lecture is for those cost accounting cool kids ready to delve further into their cost accounting journey. I hope you have your popcorn because this will be pure cinema. We'll be talking about service companies, merchandising companies, and manufacturing companies as a nice refresher for what to expect when we're dealing with different cost accounting issues and, revisit some of those managerial accounting concepts as well. Let's waste no time and begin covering the three business types. It starts with service businesses, which are some of the most common types of companies in the United States due to the convenience and the ease, relatively speaking, in how the business operates and generates its revenues. Service businesses can be differentiated from product-based companies mainly in the way that they deal in intangibles, right? Think of intangibles as an idea or an action that's not made out of any materials. Unlike a tangible good or a tangible product that can be manufactured, stored, and physically exchanged, a service is an action delivered by one person or business for another person or business. This inherent intangibility of a service company provided by a business, right? This means that the perceived quality can be highly subjective, and it often depends on the human element, making consistency a unique challenge and a very strong differentiator from company to company. Think about when you get a ride from an Uber driver. Your driver may be perfectly quiet during the entire ride and may listen to their music very low on the radio. You may think that's delightful and excellent quality as the customer for that particular trip. 5 stars out of 5 would be your rating as the customer. However, a different customer might be a chit-chatter or a party animal who expects nightclub music to be blasting in the Uber car at full volume while the driver talks up a storm with the passenger. You may not like this as the customer, but another customer just might. So it's all subjective, based on who receives the service, what their impressions are, and what they think of those services. Now, the production of a service and the consumption of a service often occur at the same time, virtually instantaneously, and customers are frequently involved in the service delivery process itself. For example, the client may be providing input along the way to a consultant to ensure that the client is getting the most out of the consultant in the context of maybe a major project being worked on by the client's company that's bringing in that consultant. A non-business example may be a medical patient interacting with a healthcare provider like a nurse or the doctor. This co-creation aspect of each service provided by a business emphasizes the unique nature of direct customer relationships and personalized experiences, since the product itself is often tailored to individual needs on a case-by-case basis. Think of it as you're operating as a handy person. One customer may need a kitchen painted. A second customer may need to fix a new set of roof shingles. A third customer may want a light fixture installed in their bathroom. Each quote-unquote product is a separate action or task requested by individual customers. Now, the service sector is a dominant force within the United States in particular, providing one of the most commonly established organization structures out there. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that as of the fourth quarter of 2024, private industry service providing establishments surpassed 10.4 million, demonstrating the sheer volume of businesses operating in this space. And this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics article, The Service Providing Industries. Now, another interesting fact from the Brookings Institution notes that 4 out of 5 American workers in the private sector are employed in the service industry, highlighting its significant contribution to employment. And that's from another article, The 9 Facts About the Service Sector in the United States. Now, it's incredible the variety of services a business can provide without the need to actually manufacture or sell physical, tangible products. That's why so many courses study the impacts of businesses and the accounting services on that particular sector, because it's such a common business model. But for the sake of cost accounting, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time delving into service industry because there's not a whole lot on the manufacturing side of things. But you'll see the next two companies are more likely to have cost accounting components. Not to say that service companies are not going to see any altogether, but you're more so going to see it in manufacturing companies, as we'll get to shortly. Now, the next commonly utilized business type is the merchandising sector. Merchandising companies are fairly straightforward in how they're operated, but let's go through what it takes to run a merchandising business. It all starts with the location in which you're going to sell your products, such as your retail location. Shopping centers, downtown storefronts, or even e-commerce storefronts are common setups to sell products. And I would say, quite frankly, these days, selling your merchandise electronically is probably the more common direction now that a lot of companies are headed, especially smaller companies who can't quite fund a physical location. Now, think about your favorite clothing store or even a big chain box store like Best Buy, where you can visit to purchase electronics and appliances. E-commerce businesses like Amazon, well, they act as merchandisers without the need for physical storefronts, since customers simply go to Amazon's website, order the products, and have them delivered directly to the customer's home address through a series of really impressive logistics. The general goal of a merchandising company is to purchase inventory from a manufacturer or from a wholesaler and subsequently sell that inventory to customers for a price higher than what the business purchased that inventory for. With high enough of a margin on each sale, the business is then able to generate a profit and cover its other expenses. From an accounting standpoint, business owners running a merchandising company find themselves purchasing inventory and establishing an asset account on the balance sheet to display the value of inventory that's ready to be sold. The cost of goods sold expense account comes into play each time the merchandising business sells a unit of inventory. The difference between the sales price and the cost of goods sold indicates your gross margin on each sale to customers. Merchandising companies have a ton of unique challenges when it comes to ensuring the business maintains a comfortable level of productivity while keeping up with competitors, making sure that the business does not get undercut by the competition and lose out on the ability to sell their inventory. One of the biggest challenges posing an opportunity for merchandisers is the ability to work out deals with manufacturers and wholesalers while considering other costs such as shipping, handling, and storage, right? You got to find a place to put your inventory. Small items like cell phones don't need a ton of expensive square footage to store them, but larger items like vehicles will require tons of square footage to store until the products are sold to customers. As part of running a merchandising business, management needs to consider the cost to buy inventory along with the cost to keep that inventory safe and keep it from getting destroyed or getting damaged until it's ultimately sold. One of the other challenges posing an opportunity for merchandisers is how the company prices its inventory for sale to its customers. The lower the price, the more likely a customer is to buy that product. You may have learned about the pricing curve in an economics course or in your intro to managerial course, but customers don't always respond well to price hikes depending on what type of product is being sold. If the product is elastic, like a luxury vehicle, well then price changes may have a huge impact on customer demands because they don't need that luxury vehicle. However, if the product is inelastic, like insulin or fuel for your car, well, the demand doesn't quite shift a whole lot when prices change. So the vast spectrum of merchandising companies, well, it provides countless opportunities for savvy business owners to capitalize on those opportunities to drive sales to customers and build on a highly profitable business activity. So that's, again, just like service industry, merchandising industry is very, very popular. You'll see a lot of companies going that direction. All right, the third of our three company types is manufacturing. Unlike service businesses or merchandising businesses, companies specializing in manufacturing are very unique because they transform raw materials into finished goods. This transformation process is where we put the cost in cost accounting as we meticulously track and allocate the key costs of each product, which include direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Of course, there's a lot of indirect costs that go into it as well, but we're going to keep it simple for now. Understanding these cost components is crucial for accurate product costing decisions on how we're going to assign and recognize the costs of each unit of inventory. Now, this also ties directly to inventory valuation and can ultimately assist management of a company with informed decision making. And that adds a ton of value to those in executive and leadership roles. They want to make the best decisions possible. So understanding what goes into producing inventory can really help drive leadership to making the best decision for the health of the business overall. Now, if we go back and consider the merchandising company, which we just talked about earlier, we'll typically make tons of comparisons with merchandisers when we're exploring and discussing manufacturing as a type of business. While our primary focus in this course is going to revolve around cost accounting along with complex treatment of manufacturing costs, we still want to make sure we do understand those operational differences between merchandisers and manufacturers. Now, merchandising companies, such as your local retailers or wholesalers, well, they'll primarily buy the finished goods from those manufacturing companies and resell them without altering the products in any way, shape, or form. The merchandiser's cost of goods sold is very straightforward, where it's going to be made up of just what that inventory purchase price was, plus applicable shipping fees. But then the simpler cost structure tied to merchandising is one of their key advantages, often leading to lower overhead related to production facilities, machinery, and of course that large manufacturing workforce that we'll see with manufacturers. Now, manufacturers have their own key advantages, mainly being in control of what goes into the creation of products, while merchandisers can only buy what's available from manufacturers. Through advances in the efficiency and the effectiveness of the production process, manufacturers have countless opportunities to keep costs down and to maximize the potential for profitability. And they can determine who they want to sell their finished goods to, because maybe there's a lot of competing merchandisers who want to get that inventory. And hey, if you were a merchandiser or if you were a manufacturing firm, you may want to end up selling it to those merchandisers who are willing to pay you a little more than their competitors to make sure that they get that inventory. Now, a disadvantage to running a manufacturing company compared to service and merchandising-based businesses is the significant investments that a manufacturer needs to make in order to just get things off the ground. It requires having production facilities, specialized machinery, shipping logistics based on the potential for an in-house fleet of distribution vehicles, and a workforce full of manufacturers with a specialized skill set who can competently assemble those products that'll ultimately be ready for sale to wholesalers and retailers. You're going to want somebody who actually knows how to assemble products. You're definitely not going to want to hire somebody like me who is terrible at putting things together, even if I have the directions right in front of my face. Not great. Never ends well. Now, manufacturers are going to be the primary focus of our cost accounting course, as the flow of product development from an idea through the physical completion of the product involves multiple costs, allowing for the potential and the opportunity to control, manage, and reduce such costs to make sure we're achieving our profitability goals as a company. So, really good info there. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this episode of Bill K the CPA. We talked about the three major types of businesses. We talked about service businesses, merchandising businesses, and of course, manufacturing businesses, where we're going to have a lot of focus in our upcoming cost accounting lectures here. So I appreciate you joining me. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff if you want to see more content like this on the channel. I know it's not always the most exciting stuff in the world, but we'll try our best to keep you engaged. So thanks again, and I will see you in the next episode.